What's up, you guys? Mighty Mike here. And in today's episode of the Mighty Mike Show, I got a very special guest for you guys. You guys are not going to believe this. This guy is a pro in probate. Okay. He's got some pretty cool stuff to share, and I've seen him speak live in person. And if you are a real estate investor, this is a special masterclass all about probate and how you can take advantage of the gazillion probate leads that are out there. Anytime somebody unfortunately passes and their home or estate is available for sale that needs to be bought by somebody, you could be there to help that family and be able to invest and potentially make a profit. And so we're going to dive into that today, so don't go anywhere. You are listening to Real Estate Investing with Mighty Mike. I am your host, Mighty Mike, and in this show, you will learn the tips, tools, and tactics for investing in real estate and building long-term wealth. I interview some of the top real estate investors that you know and love. Please subscribe to the channel, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Mr. Al Nicoletti is a Florida real estate probate attorney known throughout Florida as the Prince of Probate, aka the Probate King. What's up, my friend?
What's going on, Mike? I love everything you're doing. I love this whole setup.
You know what? I appreciate you coming on, and I enjoy meeting people like yourself and just bringing the knowledge and value to Mighty Nation, my Mighty Nation of investors out there. And let me tell you, when I first saw you speak down at that mastermind in Florida, down in South Florida, I was like, I need to be focusing more on probate.
Yeah, I mean, that was so much fun. First of all, thank you so much for having me on your show. I love being on the podcast. I love talking to investors and real estate professionals like you and being of value to your whole audience. And a special shout out to Steve Rosenberg and Bobby Sharma, because they had that millionaire boot camp that we went to, allowed me to present, and that's how you and I met. And I remember when we connected after, you're like, whoa, this is cool. So here we are, it's amazing.
Yeah, it truly is. Yeah. And so you just never know, some people would discount that event, for how many people were there. There's only like 30, 40 people there compared to some of these other events that have, like 600. But I would say that I received so much more value from that than I have from, any of these other events like Jake and Gino or any of these big events where there's like 800 people there. So it's really powerful.
That's great.
So why don't you just take just a minute for those that don't know who you are and just tell us a little bit about yourself and your personal life.
Okay, so hey everybody, my name's Al Nicoletti. I'm an attorney here in Florida. I love the probate niche in Florida. I crush it on probate. I love it so much that I talk about it, do presentations and speaking engagements on it, and going on tour in 2022, all on crushing Florida probate and how everybody can get involved in it on the real estate end. I have a lot of content out there. Mike will even put it up, I'm sure, on the screen. You can find all my social media videos, all the stuff that I'm doing, my show. It's on YouTube, on Al Nicoletti, and Instagram and Facebook. I love doing clips and content for investors and realtors so they learn and understand this stuff. Naturally, background, I'm from Miami. I was born and raised there. Eventually went to law school in Orlando. I'm a cane, as you can see. You see the thing on the shelf. I'm a hurricane. So, and then I went to school in Orlando. And then eventually, everything started taking off law-wise, moved to Jacksonville, took a job here, and then just really started hammering and funneling down the niche of probate in Jacksonville. And from there, man, it's taken off big time.
Yeah, I mean, just watching everything, seeing all the people that you're interviewing, bringing value to your customers. I mean, it's really ultimately what any person who wants to start a business needs to do. You got to go after it. You got to provide value, content, and then we get to see who you are. And if you guys look up Al, you check out his channels, he really is all about the probate. And I got to tell you, Al, my first business, in the legal business, I always thought like nobody cares about this, but it's such a niche that the people who do care about it, they're all about it, right? And so the fact that you're like all in on this probate thing for real estate investors and helping investors actually get involved, it's powerful. And so anyway, it's what attracted me to you and what you have going on, and it's the reason why I have you on the show, man. So let's dive right into the content and discuss how we can actually get involved in this. So maybe you want to just give like a bird's eye view of what probate is and why real estate investors should even be considering it.
Yeah, probate. So on a basic level, and we'll stick it to real estate because it can go into different realms. But on a basic level, somebody owned a real estate property. It's in their name. So it's in somebody's name and they owned it. Let's just say there's no spouse on it. There can be, but it's in their name and they die. And when they pass away and there's kids or a spouse, in order for them to get the title to the property, if they're not on the deed, to get the title, will or no will, there's going to have to be a court process, and that's probate. And as I did at the presentation for Millionaire Boot Camp, it's moving the title over. That's all you're doing, moving the title over, transferring the title, and that's it. So probate is the process to transfer title over, and that's it.
Mm. Yeah. So that's probate. And so if you're a real estate investor and you're looking at this and you're thinking, well, let me get involved. Last night, Al, I had a guy on my in my mastermind, my Monday masterminds, and he was like, yeah, I got all these probate leads. He's like, I just can't get past the idea of calling these families where a family member died and an offering to buy their house like for a profit. There's a little bit of a mindset thing there that we can probably dive into. And maybe let's just dive into it since I mentioned it. Like, is that a thing? Is that something people should be concerned about?
The mindset of talking to some of these families? No, because at the end of the day, they really need a lot of help. So you have a broad spectrum of heirs or family members. There's ones that they don't want to handle things, so they're kind of hands off and they get frustrated. So they really want somebody to really hold their hand and walk them through the whole process. And then there's times you have family members that don't even want to be involved. Like you get those like, oh, I'll sign off anything. I'll sign those papers. I don't want to be involved.
Yeah.
And then you'll have ones where they really want to take charge and they want to say, hey, whatever we got to do, we got to do it. And then there's ones that'll say, I know what I'm doing. I don't need the help. And when you dive into this niche, you always have to expect the unexpected. You don't know what kind of spectrum you're going to be on with these people, right? So you always have to, number one, go into it with an open mind about personality. And if you're able to handle different types of personalities in different types of situations, that you're flexible and you're adaptable, then you're going to really succeed with it, because you just always have to go into it not knowing who you're going to talk to or how they're going to react. So the first thing I would say when it comes to that is just talk to people, right?
Mm.
There's something to be said about getting in touch with these people. So great example, Mike, was I was on a phone call the other day, investors going through something really weird and wacky over a probate situation, and they took title to the property. Now they got to go back and do something with it. And they were like, hey, how do we solve it? How do we get through this issue? And I said, talk to these people. They may not have done the deed to you the right way, and these are different people you're going to talk to. But before you take it to like the level of quiet title and lawsuits and things like that,
Yeah.
why don't you go try to resolve it with the probate? So
Yeah.
that's how you really do it. You gotta take the first step and take the lead and talk to them, and not feel like you're gonna do anything wrong. You're here to help, and if you provide value in that direction, you're always gonna be one step ahead. But Mike, you'd be so surprised that people don't think about the concept of talk to them, see what they
Yeah.
want. What do they
Yeah.
want? Everybody wants
Yeah.
something. Is it money? Is it truly the house? Because there's always a price for letting something go like that.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
you just don't know until you talk.
Yeah, I love that because you're going straight to get it straight from the horse's mouth. You'll hear from the cousins, sisters, dog trainers, whatever, that says that the property, oh no, they're not selling. And then you get, and you just take that. I've actually talked to a neighbor of a house that someone had passed away doing some door knocking, and I just found this person. She says, no, I think they died and they're going to sell it. I knocked on the door, spoke to someone who was cleaning the place, and he was like, no, they're not selling. and like he had like bedding on the floor and stuff, and I'm like, okay. And sure enough, I did some research and I was like, yeah, they're selling it. He just didn't want them to sell it, you know? So it's true. Just go straight to the horse's mouth and don't, like you said, don't go take all this action and stuff against it, trying to figure out a creative way when you haven't used the basic creative way of communicating directly to the person over the phone, right?
Right, right. And that's what it is. It's seeing what they want. They want something. Maybe they don't even know what's going on. Maybe this is the first time they're ever hearing about it. Like, oh, and you're gonna get the ones that don't want to cooperate either. And let me talk about that too. Is
Yeah.
that with probate, to make it very successful, you want everybody on board, right? So when you start having the whole, he did this and they did this, sometimes there's investors that have told me they've brought families together for the first time in 20 years. And that's also a really good feeling too. I'm not saying that's like your mission, your goal, like let's bring everybody together for Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah.
But like if you end up doing that, it
Yeah.
actually can be a great thing. And now you're solving puzzles, right? It's solving puzzles, not causing friction, and get everybody on the same team. That's what you want. And if it comes down to negotiation, crazy, but great, you know?
Yeah.
And I'll say there was another probate that I could think of off the top of my head where the family, they owned two properties next to each other. One was a house and one was a vacant lot. And the house was titled, I think, as rights of survivorship, if I can remember, but the land was still titled in the lady's name. And all the heirs really wanted to sell and get rid of it. But there was one that's going to be the name of my book whenever it comes out for the tour. But there was one that they didn't understand what was going on, and they thought it was in their name. They didn't want to really let it go, but then it really came down to negotiation and talking, and 4 months later the deal closes. So it's something to be said about thinking through it and having more of a calm negotiation presence when it coming to it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Just taking the time to actually look at the deal and be okay with whatever happens. There's a show, what is it? I think it's called The Prophet with Marcus Lemonis. And I love that show because he's going in to invest in these businesses. But what the show's actually about, and the reason why it's such a good show is because he goes through the people, process, product process, right? Where he figures out if the business is worth investing in. And one of the first ones is people. And he gets into it. He finds out, gets under their skin to find out who the problem is in this business and the reason why it's not successful. So I feel like as real estate investors, that's what we have to do. You guys that are watching, especially the experienced investors, almost every single deal that involves people is going to have people in it where you have to like figure out the issues or let them figure it out, or move on to the next deal,
Right.
right?
Right. Move
you
on.
know,
Yeah.
yeah,
You'll run into those, right? You're going to run into dead ends. Many times it comes down to money and solving the problem, but then you're going to get people where there's 8 of them. Like there's one I know of right now. There's 8 of them and 7
yeah.
of them are on board, and there's one that's got issues with something, and and sometimes it's terrible because you've spent so much time and energy into it.
Mm.
But as we'll talk about, that's why it's good to work with professionals and attorneys that kind of understand this stuff. That way they can even say, look, I've seen 250 probates. This one is one on its own. Keep going and finding others, right? You can dabble in this one, but keep finding other ones so you're not wasting your time on this one.
That's good. That's good. So let's dive into that a little bit because as a real estate investor, like when I watched your presentation, I was excited. I was like, "Hey, let's go into this and figure out how probate works." And so, what a lot of people I know and had this experience that I had, where it's like, "Okay, probate. Okay, so someone died, so I can either look in obituaries and find them, like pre-probate maybe, or I can go into actual probate and like get court access." But I'll tell you, Al, I got the court access and I thought, I'm this cool guy. I got the court access. No one else has it. Maybe a few people, maybe. And so I go in there and like I'm searching and there's like 500 this month. And I'm like, oh. And then so I start looking in them. I don't see any addresses. It's not made for me. It's made for attorneys or anyone who's like in the case, involved in the case, not for me to go find the address to then turn around and call them. So it's very cumbersome. So let's dive into that a little bit. What is not necessarily how we find the deals first, just like that beginning process. Do you deal with investors a lot in regards to that?
There's a lot of investors that are always looking for leads, right? That definitely,
Yeah.
because they're always searching and trying to figure out where to go and how to do it. But let me talk about that for a second. Like, a lot of investors, the first thing they'll do with probate is they'll go, "Oh, probate leads." So they'll go straight to the courthouse. But here's the problem with doing that. And now, of course, everybody's going to go the other way. Here's the problem with doing that is that those are already open files. There's already an attorney assigned to it. There's already somebody retained. Maybe those properties are already under contract. And let me just say, not every probate that's already an open court file has real estate. So
Right.
the big problem that you're going to have with going straight to the courthouse and going and even getting lead providers that provide that is there's already an open case and everybody's targeting it. Everybody's going
Yeah.
after it. And so there's no really differentiating between you being special and just everybody else, competing over the same property. But when you do that, not only are you wasting a lot of time, but there's not every case has a real estate. So you may be going through all the records and spending so much time, and that's not your effort. That's
Right.
not where your effort should be focused, right? Just like you and I, we're natural marketers, natural speakers. We love being out there. Those are where our talents are, not through the researching and the sifting. So that's why that's also another business strategy. You get people to help that do that as well, right? We can go
Yeah.
so many directions with this, but sticking on leads, you have to find leads that are going to be where people are not going or people are going less. And just for reference, there was one somebody posted a year ago on this like probate forum that we were on for attorneys and said that they couldn't believe how many letters this one lady got at the box. And so I kept going down and he was telling the story. This one lady got like 37 mailers for one property. And she gets all this. And all of them are the same. Hey, I'll buy your cash fast, 30 days close, no
Yeah.
inspection waive, as is, same thing over and over. Like, I'm not even doing what you all are doing, and I know the lingo. I feel like,
Yeah.
I say, hey, I'll close as is, 30 days cash. But it's no different. You have to provide something different. And if you find a way to formulate a letter that maybe is captivating and is there's strategy behind it, it's great. But in just saying, hey, I want to help you. I saw that
Yeah.
you may be inheriting the property. Yeah, you'll have a different letter. Maybe you do a pink envelope instead of just a regular thing. Maybe you do a different
Yeah.
stamp that's really unique that'll say, hey, I can relate to this. Anyway, but where you want to focus is the tax liens and the tax deeds right before they hit the sale. This is a golden gem. Why? Because they're about to go up for auction. They're about to lose the property. They don't know what the property is about to go for at auction. So if you're able to hit them and get in touch with them before it hits the auction, that tax deed is a call to action. So on a call to action, which everybody looks for in marketing and everything, right?
Yeah.
That's a call to action because it forces them to do something before an event occurs.
Mm.
So if that's something that you can hit before, it's beautiful. Just like foreclosure auctions, right before it hits auction. If you can hit those right before auction, um, if those could be like good because you will have situations where they need to have that solved before it hits. So
Mm.
those are opportunities as well. Um, I'd even say pre-probate. If you can find lead providers out there that do pre-probate, I'm always on the foreclosuresdaily.com website. I'm always doing the webinars with Tangi Cousins and Angela's out there too. But I'm always doing like, I'm trying to show where all these lead providers are that could be big. I know the sponsor for the show, the Vulcan, is it Vulcan 7?
Vulcan 7. Yeah.
There you go. I mean, there's lead providers out there that can help with these things because they'll find you the leads.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things I was gonna ask you is like, with these lead providers, we don't always know where they get the leads, and I think if we knew that, maybe we wouldn't have to pay them, right? So so finding tax liens or, deeds before the auction, what is your favorite method for doing that? Is there a specific, website or anything that you use?
Not necessarily that I use. I don't know exactly where investors go other than probably getting the list from the courthouse,
Yeah.
or they check the auction block. So I think it depends on the county. They'll
Yeah.
have real auction or real tax deed
Mhm.
auction.com by county, and you can check the calendar. That's a way to know what's coming up on the auction block. I'm sure there's a way to get a full list of the tax deed auctions coming up and stuff. But
Yes.
in those, Mike, you'll find pre-probate. Why? Because people would have never taken care of the probate because they sat on it. They didn't want to do anything. They keep going to lawyers that are going to be like, oh, it's going to be 5, 10,000 up front. So
Yeah.
you'll find a lot of pre-probates because they just never took care of it. And those could be the gems because that may not be where people are focusing their efforts.
Okay. So just to dive in a little deeper for people who are just like, I have no idea what you're talking about, right? Probate, you say some of those could be probate. So there's a tax deed, a tax lien, or whatever. Like you said, it was never taken care of. They never paid the taxes on it, or maybe it's foreclosing. They never didn't pay their mortgage. This is pre-probate, meaning someone died and it's about to go into the probate system. And so you can reach out to them and find out the situation basically.
Yeah, you can. These are ones that just have not gone through the process. There's ones that are, and there's ones that are not going through the process. If it's about to hit a tax deed, usually it's not has not gone through the process because otherwise it would not be on the auction block, right? Otherwise it would have been snatched up by the investor, or snatched up by the professional
Uh-huh.
before it hit the auction. And also I'll point out that tax deed sales have high equity, but they could be high distressed because there's probably no mortgage on it if it's going to a tax deed sale. Otherwise, the mortgage company would have done the foreclosure, if that makes sense to viewers. We're giving somewhat of an intermediate level, keep it big for is a situation where somebody owned the property and they died. And the reason it's even going up for auction, it's either they forgot to pay the taxes, they can't pay, or the person that owned it is deceased and now you have an heir living in there that doesn't want to do anything or can't do anything, but now needs to do something before it hits that auction block.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the crazy thing is like, people are always looking for these different opportunities. As investors, this is like vital, it's very sharky waters. I mean, we all help each other, but at the same time, if you're not going out and finding leads or you're not making connections with people who are finding leads, then you're dead in the water. And so this is why probate is something I'm really excited about. It's something I'm putting my focus on, at least an hour a day. It's on my calendar. And so what are three things that people can do to be if they want to get involved in probate?
Great question, Mike. And I love that question because it comes up a lot. And there's times I'm on the phone that I'm like, wait a second, here's three things you got to do. Number one, get started. It sounds so basic and common sense, but people don't take action, right? If you
Yeah.
you got to start doing something to see if you like it, you don't like it, it's your thing, it's not your thing. And maybe maneuvering around the process. So great example, was on a call yesterday and we were talking about like probate, and somebody was like, what is probate? And of course I'll give my links again, but I'm like, I have all this content that can break down everything. I'm on podcasts and everything. But I explained to him, I said, the one thing that you can watch all the videos, you can watch all the content, you can always follow up and say, hey, I want to have a follow-up question based on something that you said. But at the end of the day, it's not going to make you money. It's great questions, but to really get in the niche, do it. Start it. Get your
Yeah.
hands dirty. Send your contracts out, send your mailers out, see what you get. Because if you get nothing, you got to focus somewhere else. But if you get something and you like it, then you're going to do it. Number two, I would say work with the right professional, right? I'm an attorney. I do probate. Right? Like I don't just say, hey, Mike, I do personal injury and divorce and all that. Yeah, dabble in probate. No, man. Like you saw me at the presentation. I have a
Yeah.
full PowerPoint
Yeah.
on
Oh, yeah.
probate. So working with the right professional matters, and being
Yeah.
able to communicate and talk and have that relationship, and being able to say, this is what's going on. Is it going to work? What are we dealing with? What are the numbers? Big stuff, big stuff. I think that's really important. And of course, I would also say really working with the right people, having the right title companies, having the right capital people that'll back you up, that understand that the situation's going to be crazy. It can be you never know what you're going to run into with the probate, but having the right support system is going to be big. And networking with the right people, I'd say it's another big tip. You don't know who you're going to network with that can help you on the lending side, on the flipping side. And it's all great about acquisitions. What about dispositions? Right? Again, I don't do any of this stuff, but I've learned from what some of these investors do, the wholesalers, right? It's all
Yeah.
about, hey, I got a deal, I got a contract. Well, great. You're going to keep it? Well, no, because that's the whole point of wholesaling. I don't want to keep it. I want to send it out to somebody. Well, who are you going to send it to if you're doing a wholesale deal in the middle of nowhere? Who's your buyer? Right?
Yeah.
Who's going to be your lender if you do want to keep it? Who's going to be your lender if you do want to do a short-term Airbnb? So at the end of the day, as I tell people, probate real estate is just another real estate transaction. Now we just got a puzzle. So you got get started, you got the right professional, and you got the right network with the right tools, the right lead providers, the right maybe skip tracing, and
Mhm.
network in there, and you can be successful, not even in just probate, but anything you really do, just get in it.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and I've heard a lot of people have success in mailers actually. Like you said, the lady had all those mailers, but if you do it to the right addresses and you really filter out based on other things, like some of these lead providers, they really just dial in like specifics. I mean, like it could have a code violation and it's in probate and it's got tax liens and and those are the only people that you send letters to. So you can really dial it in. And so guys, I would definitely plan to reach out to Al. Al, tell us, what are you most fired up about right now?
So most fired up about is I'm going on tour in 2022 on crushing Florida probate. I'm so excited about it because in my world, it's I've been pushing this so hard in Jacksonville, but I think it's caught that attention all over Florida. Just haven't had the ability to go in person because 2020 was all virtual. Now I'm going to be in Fort Myers, Naples, Tampa, Orlando. I'm going to be speaking at these conferences, big conferences, RIAs that have been around for so long. And I'm so excited because that's going to draw a lot of attention to people doing more of the niche. And that's really great. That's been my message for 5 years now, Mike. Can you believe that? Basically 5 years. Call it 4.5, but it really was like it's been going on for this long. You ask people I met in Miami four years ago, they'd be like, Al's got the same message he had 4 years ago. So that pumps me up because I get to do speaking. I get to do what I did at the Millionaire Boot Camp and really inspire people and connect with people like you, Mike. I mean, look, we would have never connected but for that. You may have seen
Yeah.
a YouTube video or an Instagram reel and be like, hey, I like this guy. But no,
Yeah.
we got to person connect. And then you're on my show, I'm on your show. That's what this is all about. That's what fires me up.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Yeah, just the idea of going out there. I love that you're like taking the bull by the horns and you're just like, going out there and finding what you need and finding your audience, finding the people who are interested in probate and who actually want to take action on it. I think that is so powerful.
Yo, yeah.
So okay, well listen, Mighty Nation, I mean, Al has been dropping some crazy value, just flexing left and right. So prepare yourself because we're headed into the Mighty Flex round right after a word from our sponsors. Guys, today's sponsor is Vulcan 7. They provide quality leads from FISBOs, expired leads, rentals, commercial, probate, geo search, and email leads. Like we're talking about probate here, this is what you want. You want to have some kind of a lead provider that will provide this for you. Vulcan 7 does it for me. And they even have a CRM and even a dialer. You guys go to mightydial.com. By the time this airs, it'll be on there. You guys can get a great deal. And just appreciate you guys watching the show, and I appreciate them sponsoring us here today. So, all right, guys, welcome back to the show. Al, are you ready to do some mighty flexing?
Let's do it. I'm ready for the mighty flex.
Hold on, we got to get the wide view on that. Boom.
Ooh, there we go. Let's go.
Dang, dude, you're dwarfing me over there. All right. So, geez. All right. So, what is your favorite tactic? We've been talking about this a little bit, but Al, what is your favorite tactic for finding deals?
In the terms of the attorney world, I would say email marketing.
Email. Good. So you go ahead and email them out, and then people are like, you're like, hey, we'll take I'm looking for some probates, or wanted to find out your situation in probate.
Not necessarily. It's more or less the email marketing that stays top on mind for people, like for what I do in my world, right? Not the investors or the real estate professionals, but giving, like, being consistent and staying top of mind. The email marketing is great because it gets to everybody. Not everybody's on social, so
Yeah.
for really staying on top of mind is key.
Yeah, being top of mind, and email just kind of automates it. You can blast it out to everybody, just making sure you're providing value, so that you don't get spam.
Right.
Good stuff. Okay, and what software makes your life easier?
Wow, I love MailChimp. Again, I'll go back to the email marketing because I love MailChimp. I think it's fantastic. Also love Outlook. I don't know if there's like a particular thing that I would love the most, but in terms of marketing, I love the whole MailChimp system, which is now Intuit, just because it really it helps categorize leads. Whenever you go to events, you can import stuff like that. It's really, really cool.
Gosh, Intuit is just buying everybody up. That's crazy. MailChimp.
Yeah,
That is cool.
they're good though. They're
I'm
good.
learning things here right on the show.
Yeah, they're good.
That is awesome. All right. So what books would you recommend?
Wow. I'm not the biggest reader. I mean, I know I'm a lawyer and everything, but I'm not the biggest reader. I love probate. But I would say a lot of the books that I have up here on my shelf, I don't know if you could see them, but I have people that have been on my show, like Adam Locklear and Joe Locklear, on the secret to real estate investing. And then you have John Alexander. You have do-it-yourself real estate title searches and living trust for real estate investors. I love helping push the content and stuff that people have been on my show about, that they write books about. So I would say anything with the real estate investing that can help your listeners and your viewers learn more about it. Check out some of this stuff. Check out the content. These people write books. It's incredible.
Yeah, it actually, along that line, my book is coming out here just before Christmas, Finding Motivated Sellers and Closing the Deal. The goal is to keep it so specific. And Al, I think I'm going to include some of your stuff in there, man. I might have to tag you in there.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I love it.
Or can you tag people in a book? I don't know if you could do that, actually.
I don't know. I don't know if you can. Hey, that's great.
That's awesome. All right. So what is the greatest advice you've ever received?
You have your own style. That kind of stuck with me for a while because we're always trying to find our way, our own path to things. And we always try to there's always a shiny object for, somebody that has a speaking style or somebody that has a product. And it's like, we always are always like, whoa, like I want to be like that. I want to be like that. And I always had to think like, no, you have your own way, you have your own style, you have your own pace. So have your own style and sense is going to be something that's going to go a really long way.
That's awesome. What is, that is so true. And I mean, like I resonate with that as well. Absolutely. So what is your parting piece of advice to real estate investors right now that are watching and thinking like, man, I really want to get started. I know the 3 tips, I'm going to go ahead and, get started, right? Actually take action, commit to taking action. Maybe that should be the first one, right? Commit and actually follow through with the action that you're going to take. And then the second one is reach out to Al, have somebody who you can reach out to actually get started in this thing, because you can't do it on your own. No amount of YouTubing and but there's a lot of free resources out there. And so reach out to Al. And then third, build your team and find leads. You got to be able to find leads. And so definitely, if you guys are interested, comment below. I'll definitely going to give a free book to anybody who helps me launch it. And I'm going to have to get my book to Al so he can put it on his shelf back there.
Let's go. Let's get it up here. I can't wait. You got to send it to me. I'll put it right up here, or put it next to the U or something.
I got to make my text bigger so that it like stands out amongst all of those.
Yeah, you need to make a Mighty Mike muscle thing
Yeah.
too. We'll put it
Yeah.
up here like New View and everybody.
Heck yeah, it'll be awesome. So, what is your parting piece of advice for mighty investors out there?
My thing is, first of all, I hope anybody that's out there or listening or watches this in the group, if you see that I'm on tour, come on by, come on in. Let's learn, let's talk. I love talking about this stuff. But my biggest piece of advice is really get into it. Get into it and see if you like it. See if you want to do it, and really network with people and talk to them about what's going on. There's things you will talk if you just go up to Mike and you just say, "Hey man, how you doing?" There's things that Mike will say in that conversation that you wouldn't have known had you not done that. And so just going to people and saying, "Hey, how you doing? What's happening? I like to, connect," is going to do things that you'll never expect. So get in it, get started. I hope you all, if you see me out there promoting the events, I'll make sure I give the YouTube channel thing at the end, but come on out and get started with the niche. It can make some really cool money.
Yeah, that is awesome. That is great advice. Al, I want to personally thank you for coming on the show. What is the best way that we can connect with you? And then we'll say goodbye. Oh, we lost you. Hold on. Let's give him a minute here. His computer might have died. So, guys, okay, well, I'm going to give him a second here, but this is only live inside the group, so it's okay. Al, can you hear me? Let's see here. Remove. All right. So, guys, I'm going to give him some time to come back on here, but just in case he doesn't, I'm going to do a quick outro. All right. Let's see. Al Nicoletti. So, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Al Nicoletti. You can reach out to him. All of his information is right here, and you definitely want to go check it out. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, subscribe on YouTube. Check it out. And you know what? I just appreciate, Al coming on the show. Okay, he's back. All right.
There we go. I don't know what happened there for a second. Just completely went out. I have no idea what happened.
You turned gray. You turned like gray with like a little white circle there. So that's all right. We only go live in the group for that exact reason. And then we're going to blast it all over the web, here in a couple weeks. So, all right, let me pick up here. Yeah. So awesome, Al. So, man, you've just been providing some crazy, awesome value. What is the best way that we can connect with you? And then we'll say goodbye.
Best way you can get me is the YouTube channel and the website, alnicoletti.com. Find my website there. I got all the content, got the practice areas, got the podcast that'll literally pop up right when you go on the website. But you have my email address, al@alnicoletti.com, and the phone number Mike just put up. But of course, my best routes that you also can see me, find me, and always connect with me. There's people that are like, "Hey, we feel like we see you all the time now." YouTube channel under Al Nicoletti. That's a big one. The YouTube channel. And you can find all my stuff on Instagram and Facebook. Everything's there under Al Nicoletti. I post content, videos. You'll see walk and talks. I'm all over the place. So, and check out the show. Mighty Mike was on my show, the Al Nicoletti show, for final episode season 2. And I have tons of guests. Season 3 is coming up January 12th. It's going to be huge. We're going to start doing more in person in the studio here. So it's going to be crazy. And again, Mike, I love being on this show. Love talking to you about everything. And I hope it's going to be super valued to all the investors and realtors that are part of the group, because there's a lot of gems, and there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to know. So hope you all can connect with me.
Absolutely. You know what? I appreciate you coming on the show. I loved being on your show. It was so much fun. And, it's funny, you're such a good interviewer. Like, I was telling you stuff I don't think I've ever told anybody. So if you guys are watching this show right now and you love the show, go check out Al's show where he interviewed me, because, that stuff you just don't hear on my show. So I'm always interviewing other people. So people don't get to know you very well. That's the cool thing about watching someone that you follow on other channels, is because you really get to hear more about them. So it's pretty cool. All right. So guys, until next time, Mighty Nation, go check out the website. I got it going across the bottom there. Give him a call. He's the probate king. Like, if you guys are interested in getting involved in probate, reach out to him. And if you guys are listening on Spotify or iTunes, Apple Podcasts, go subscribe, rate, and review. And if you're on YouTube, subscribe to us. If you thought we provided value, subscribe to the channel. You're going to get a lot more like this every Wednesday. And I teach all about real estate investing, little clips, try to keep it short and simple each and every day on YouTube. So guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us here, and we will see you guys on the next episode. Dwarfing me.
Thank you so much, Mike.
So, hey, hold on real quick. We're going to do a bumper. I'm going to do an outro. Actually, who commented? Oh, yeah, you spoke at a RIA group in Winter Park. Okay, so a bumper. Have you done a bumper before?
What's that?
So basically you say, this is Al Nicoletti and you're listening to the Mighty Mike Show. I've had some people like Flex. You've seen it?
Yeah, I've done that before.
Okay. And then what I do is I clip it out and edit it. Let me see. All right, as soon as you see me go away here. There we go.
This is Al Nicoletti, and you're listening to the Mighty Mike Show.
Love it, man. That was good. That was really good. All right. So you guys that are in the group right now, you're the only one that gets to see this kind of backstage content. So invite your friends. If they're real estate investors, invite them and come to the meetups on Mondays. And Al, thanks again, man. Let me stop the broadcast here.